Good afternoon. That's it. Okay. אחר צהריים טובים, כמו שאומרים בעברית, לא מי יודע מה. Good afternoon. Welcome all gathered here today. And a special welcome goes, first of all, to our guest of honor, who will offer greetings in a short while and are sitting here on the first row. And to our guests from abroad. There are 11 of them who came from abroad, and they must say, that's for a beginning, they must say that we not only organized the conference, but we took care of the weather. And we did a good job about it. Okay. It's a pleasure and an honor to chair this first session. It's the session of the greetings and music. It's the first session of this conference. And the conference, as you know, as you have read in the papers or seen on the program, is dedicated to the Jewish community in Germany nowadays. We called it From Rejection to Acceptance, being a Jew in Germany in the 21st century. We had a debate regarding the title, whether From Rejection to Acceptance, with a question mark, because was it a rejection before? It wasn't always a rejection. Is it always an acceptance now? But this is the title, From Rejection to Acceptance, being a Jew in Germany in the 21st century. The conference, I'd like to say in advance, will continue for 2 more days, tomorrow and after tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday, here in this fine hall, to which I will come in a minute. And indeed, it is the time to thank. First of all, thanks to all those who shouldered the effort, our partners who will be fully introduced to you in a minute. And thanks to the Kantor Center staff, and especially to Dr. Chaim Feierberg and to Ms. Ronit Greenfeld. They are both here, I'm quite sure about it. And Chaim Feierberg initiated this conference, pushed it forward relentlessly, and Ronit Greenfeld, whose office is actually the heart of the Kantor Center, I would like to thank them, we all would like to thank them very much for their hard work and devotion, and thanks go also to Advocate Talia Naamat, who is also here. Okay. Before inviting the speakers to offer the greetings, let me mention who is not present here. We really don't know what exactly to make of it, but lamentably, the official leaders of the Jewish community in Germany, past or recent past and present, could not join us today or chose not to. But yet we send them from here warm regards from Tel Aviv. We'll write to them. Okay, toda. But that's a fact. None of the present leadership of the Jewish community in Germany chose to come and join this conference. Also, let me try and share with you why was, in fact, this community, the Jewish community in Germany today, why was it in fact chosen as the topic of this year? And the question is a pertinent one, because we are, the Kantor Center, we are a center for the study of European Jewry today. And today there are 1.5 million Jews in Europe, a bit more, 1.5 million, divided among or living in some 55 communities. So why we took upon ourselves each year to have a conference dedicated to one community. Last year it was Hungary, and this year we chose Germany. And of course, such a choice has its reasons, because first of all, because what we realized is that the German Jewish community is one of the very few ones outside Israel that is growing. Most of them are not, either in Latin America, Eastern Europe, or the Western Europe, though there you find the Jewish community of France and of England. But outside Israel, in which the number of the Jews reached 6 million and keeps growing by birth rate and newcomers, most of the other communities are not. And this is one of the very few, if not the only one besides the one in the UK, that keeps growing. And therefore, we wanted to look into it. Why is it growing? Who are the newcomers there? How are they adapted and accepted in the community? And we noticed from many reactions that we got once we started organizing this conference, that the issue of being a Jew in Germany, even today, it's the 21st century, 70-something years have passed. This January, we mentioned the January 1933, Nazi rise to power, but still it is not self-understood to be a Jew in Germany. It's not self-understood, and there is this shadow, a heavy shadow of the past that still lingers and still gives definitely a reason to try to look into this community, how it is today, what is it made of, which groups is it made of, what about culture, education, especially identity, politics, being involved in the surrounding society, relations with Israel, attitudes towards anti-Semitism, towards other minorities in Germany. All these are fascinating issues that this conference will deal with. So these are more or less the reasons. We will have now 4 greetings. Don't be afraid. They won't be long. And afterwards, a musical interlude. And then there will be a second. We will continue right away with Professor Sheps as a chairperson. Here, one lecture from Professor Wolfson, another musical interlude, and then a second lecture. So, the first one to offer greetings is Professor Raanan Rein. And Professor Raanan Rein is almost always will greet and run away. And this is because Raanan is a very busy person. He's a friend and colleague. He's a very busy person. He's vice president of Tel Aviv University. So he is called upon many conferences and many openings and many committees. So you are excused right away. Okay. Professor Raanan Rein is the Soraski Professor of Latin American and Spanish History and Vice President of Tel Aviv University. He is also head of the Daniel Abrams Center for International and Regional Studies. Rein is the author and editor of more than 25 books and several dozens of articles in academic journals. He is member of Argentina's National Academy of History and co-president of the Latin American Jewish Studies Association. The Argentinian government awarded him with the title of Commander in the Order of the Liberator, San Martin, for his contribution to its culture. But Raanan, that's too modest. Don't you have a word from Peru with that Aztec eagle or something? No. Okay, Meile. Please.
Thank you very much, Dina. Shalom, good afternoon. I take great pleasure in welcoming you all to this international conference entitled From Rejection to Acceptance, to be Jewish in 21st century Germany. And we've already heard from Dina about the discussion they had about the title of this conference. There is no better place than this campus to hold such a conference, with Tel Aviv University and Beit Hatfutsot working together. Issues related to the Jewish world and to the changing ties between Israel and diaspora Jews are central to Tel Aviv University. In various schools and departments here, as well as in the Goldstein-Goren Diaspora Research Center, the Stefan Roth Institute for the Study of Anti-Semitism, and of course, the Kantor Center headed by the dynamic Professor Dina Porat. In all these academic frameworks, research is conducted on these topics of Jewish peoplehood, Jewish peoplehood, Klal Israel, and the comparative approach to diaspora in general, Jewish and non-Jewish alike. Looking at the program of this conference, I was very pleased to see side by side papers on anti-Semitism and the reception of the Holocaust in contemporary German films, together with German Jewish humorist literature or Yiddish music in contemporary Germany. And I believe that the organizers of this conference have wisely avoided an exclusive focus on the Holocaust or anti-Semitism. As you all know better than I do, Jewish life in nowadays Germany displays a wide variety of cultural expressions and is characterized by fascinating discussions about collective identities. At the same time, and now I speak as a historian like my colleague Dina Porat, there is no way to face contemporary challenges without better understanding history. This year marks the 80th anniversary of the rise to power of National Socialism, as well as the 80th anniversary of burning of Jewish books and those of other degenerate, quote-unquote, elements. We should take advantage of this tragic anniversary to uphold the values of pluralism and tolerance and to defend basic freedoms like the freedom of expression. This is an integral part of the core identity of Tel Aviv University, of our DNA, if you'd like. Sometimes we have to pay a dear political price for such a policy of ours, but we see it as part of our mission. Israeli society is also in the midst of our own Kulturkampf, and unfortunately, too many expressions of racism against non-Jews are recorded here. The universities of the Berlin area have recently established a consortium devoted to Jewish studies. This initiative includes, as far as I understand it, the universities of Potsdam, Humboldt, the Free University of Berlin, the Technical University of Berlin, and the Abraham Geiger College. Tel Aviv University maintains close ties with all these institutions and is very much interested in becoming a part of this consortium, in joining this consortium. Our collaboration with German universities is obviously not limited only to the institution in the Berlin area. Last year we signed a strategic partnership with Goethe University of Frankfurt, and I was very pleased a few days ago to receive a notice that the two universities jointly won a very important DAD grant for students' mobilization between our universities. I would like to thank all the co-sponsors of this conference, including the Moses Mendelssohn Zentrum and the Friedrich Naumann Stiftung. I would like to thank the German ambassador for being here with us this evening, and wish you all interesting and fruitful discussions. Thank you very much.
Okay. Disappeared? Many thanks to Professor Rein Before we go on to our second speaker, who would also offer us greetings, that's a German ambassador and his wife who graced us with her presence. I would like to mention who were the sponsors the sponsors and partners about whom Professor Rein spoke. This conference is organized by the Kantor Center, we mentioned it, the Kantor Center for the Study of European Jewry, in cooperation with the Moses Mendelssohn Center in Potsdam, headed by Professor Sheps, who will introduce the two other lecturers shortly. The Goren Goldstein Center for the Study of the Diaspora in Tel Aviv University, the Nauann, Friedrich Naumann Foundation, headed by Mr. Walter Klitz here in Israel. I'll introduce him also in a minute. And Beit Hatfutsot, and the Museum of the Jewish People, Beit Hatfutsot, who is a partner for many years, for a long time. That's the nice hall in which we have most of our conferences, and we thank all the sponsors, the partners, and this very nice, the owners of this very nice place indeed. The second, as we said, is the ambassador, the German ambassador to Israel. He is a short time with us, and we all wish him a lot of success, and a fruitful and interesting it will be, that's for sure. An interesting stay here in Israel, and we thank his wife Heike for coming as well. The ambassador came here after serving as a Director General for Near and Middle Eastern, North African, Asian, and Pacific affairs. That's not a small matter. He was ambassador of the Federal Republic of Germany in the Republic of Singapore. He was spokesman of the Foreign Office, and he fulfilled a long line of other tasks in the German Foreign Ministry, amongst which I would say that the most important one was his being First Secretary of Political Affairs in the German Embassy in Tel Aviv, 1992-1995. We thank him for his visit in the center, for his cooperation, and for his help. Bevakasha.
Thank you very much, Professor Dina Porat, Herr Walter Klitz, Yoram Ben-Zeev, Israel's ambassador to Germany until very recently, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me, in the form of a greeting, to share a few observations or remarks with you. The subject you have chosen for your conference confronts us with a wide range of very intricate questions. Questions which you will most certainly find difficult to answer. What does it mean to be Jewish in 21st century Germany? What constitutes German Jewish identity today? By asking this question, we may be looking at one of the most complex identities any person could possibly have. If there were any doubts, we were forcefully reminded by the German circumcision debate in the course of last year. As the discussion on the legal framework of religious circumcision in Germany reached its peak in summer 2012, Mrs. Charlotte Knobloch, former head of the Central Council of Jews in Germany and someone I admire greatly, published an emotional and very powerful article in Süddeutsche Zeitung. In that article, Mrs. Knobloch wrote, and I quote, "Almost all my life, I've had to face the criticism of the rest of the Jewish world. For 6 decades, I had to justify staying in Germany as a remnant of a destroyed world, a sheep amongst wolves. I have always been happy to carry this burden since I was strongly convinced that this country and its people are worth it. For the first time, however, the foundations of what I am are shaking. For the first time, I feel resignation, and I'm asking myself seriously whether this country still wants us." Unquote. The answer to her last question was quickly given by the German parliament and the German government. A law was passed to allow for religious circumcision to be legally continued in Germany. But setting the quick reply and the serious nature of the debate aside, we have probably only read very few statements which sum up the deep inner dilemma of those who decided to stay in Germany or who returned to it after the war in such a direct and painful way as that of Mrs. Knobloch. How can you continue to live amongst those that murdered 6 million of your kin or did nothing to prevent it? I had the opportunity to discuss her article and some of its underlying assumptions with Mrs. Knobloch. I could at best only attempt to understand some of her very personal and intimate remarks. What I, however, did understand is that it is not easy to answer the most poignant question of all: why Germany? Ladies and gentlemen, in 2012, the Deutsche Buchpreis, comparable to the Prix Goncourt in France or the Man Booker Prize in the UK, was awarded to Ursula Krechel for her novel Landgericht. The story of her main character, Richard Kornitzer, is the story of a Jewish lawyer who returned to Germany after the war. Her very precise prose reconstructs the German environment Jews were to return to in the early 50s. It is a literary way of tackling the question of your conference. In a very important way, her novel also asks the question, why Germany? And I would like to quote from that novel. Richard Kornitzer comes back and he starts to work as a lawyer again, as a judge in Germany. And suddenly, he starts with ferocious energy in his new environment. And he reflects on the office environment. And I quote this in German. Mochte die Wachtmeister, die mit sicherem Blick und Griff einen Angeklagten vorführten. Mochte die Wägelchen, auf denen die Aktenlast transportiert wurde, die langen Bänke im Flur, die nervöse Zeugen blank rutschten. Mochte das Funktionieren, das Reibungslose, mit dem Fälle aufgerollt und abgerollt wurden, das Ineinanderspielen der Kräfte. Mochte das Formulieren eines Urteils, die Klarheit, die gegebene Ordnung und die Notwendigkeit, darin sich einzupassen, waren heilsam. Hatten das auch die Juristen gedacht, die anders als er nicht aus dem Dienst gejagt wurden, die weitermachten, als sei nichts geschehen, die sogenannten arischen Juristen, schoss es ihm manchmal durch den Kopf und der Kopf schmerzte. In her novel, Ursula Krechel probes into dimensions which can only be explored in this unique literary way. I'm very happy that Ursula Krechel is our guest on the occasion of the Jerusalem Book Fair, which opens tonight. Her work and the success of her novel sends an important message. Returning to Germany is an important topic in Germany and here in Israel too. How often have I heard the story of second-generation Israelis who decided to discover their German roots at the price of serious family strife, because their parents, who had barely made it to Israel alive, could not bear the fact that their children wanted to return to the country of the perpetrators. When Jewish families from the former Soviet Union started to move to Germany in the 1990s, they were, of course, also being asked, why Germany? And the State of Israel started to ask the Federal Republic of Germany this question too. Whatever the individual and personal answer to the question may have been, Jews from the former Soviet Union kept choosing Germany as their new home, making it the fastest growing and third largest Jewish population in Europe after France and Britain. For the Jewish communities, this rapid change has not always been easy to digest. The two very different groups of Jewish population, those who came from the East and those who had decided to stay in spite of the horrors of the Shoah, have created a new and most fascinating part of German society. In a certain way, this conglomerate of different traditions, experiences, life stories, and in the end of a very different regional, historical, and social descent, are showing the cultural diversity and open-minded, multilingual flair of Jewish communities in Germany today. Over the past 2 decades, membership in Jewish communities has tripled. Today, we count more than 100,000 active members in more than 100 Jewish congregations. We are also witnessing the construction of new synagogues and community centers, as well as the ordination of rabbis in Germany. The growth of Jewish life in Germany, which I have described, is deeply satisfying. The picture would, however, not be complete without talking about anti-Semitism in today's Germany too. The truth is, there is anti-Semitism in German society. Stereotypes are handed on without much thinking. Pictures of vandalized Jewish cemeteries can be found, most regrettably, not infrequently in the media. There are anti-Semitic acts of violence, not very often, but they do happen. Empirical research into anti-Semitism is difficult, and concrete figures of incidents and cases are often controversially discussed. You, Professor Porat, and your colleagues have contributed a lot to establishing the facts. In 2009, a commission officially mandated by the Deutsche Bundestag estimated that 20% of the population carry anti-Semitic stereotypes in one way or another. The Commission's report also established that 90% of all anti-Semitic criminal acts and acts of Holocaust denial were committed by right-wing groups. These facts are unacceptable. What I can offer in terms of good news, and this is no small thing, is the following. Overwhelmingly, whenever anti-Semitic acts are being made public, there is a determined response and reaction by the authorities. And within German society itself, people do take to the streets. They voice their opposition, they blame and shame. Right-wing groups do not find resonance in Germany. On the contrary, they are marginalized. Parliament and government in Germany do take these phenomena seriously. Appropriate laws are in place and they are being implemented. Chancellor Merkel has stressed many times that racism and anti-Semitism must not have a place in Germany. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me, towards the end of my introductory words, to look at another third phenomenon too. In addition to the already highly diverse Jewish communities in Germany, a third player has entered the stage. And it is what makes German Jewish life particularly exciting. A whole new generation of young Israelis who choose Germany for studies, business, career, or just for a lifestyle have settled there. Up to 15,000 young Israelis are estimated to currently live in Germany's capital, Berlin alone. This open, life-thirsty generation of young Israelis is not so much looking for answers to difficult questions. They tend to take life as it comes. Their answer is their way of life. They discover their love for Germany, for German food, German music, German DJs, German partners. The friendship that develops on this particular basis is a new friendship, a friendship of free and open-minded young adults who could live anywhere else but chose to live in Germany. They seem not to face the inner dilemma that I focused on at the beginning. They seem not to see the need to justify their choice, as if Germany were just another country. Of course, we are not and never will be just another country. This answer has just been reiterated by Chancellor Merkel on the 30th of January. In our collective memory as Germans, things run deeper and need to run deeper. The painful void that was left by the Shoah can never be filled again, and thus it stays with us forever. How then do these seemingly different new Jewish immigrants relate to the lessons of the Holocaust? Is their relaxation only a surface phenomenon? Have they found a new way to approach Germany? Well, this is only one, or these are just two, of the many intricate questions I'm sure you will go to address in the course of your conference. And I wish you a lot of success. Good luck. Thank you very much for listening. It was more than a greeting, it was remarks in a way. But I must say, your topic is a very stimulating topic for a German ambassador. So please bear with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Indeed, this was much more than some greetings and the regular greetings. And let me take a minute, if possible, to react to a few of your remarks. First of all, I think you hit the point regarding the question, if I may sharpen this question, could different groups really compose a community? How is it to be a community with institutes, with equal attitude of the leadership of the community to all its parts if they are so different? And this is a question that we definitely will be dealt with during the conference, and one that bothered us. But I think there are a number of such examples in Jewish history of communities who were made of very different groups and still absolutely functioned as a community because there is something basic common to them. Another point is that Advocate Talia Naamat, who is at the head of our collection of all laws and legislation against discrimination. The volume on Europe, 55 countries, has already been published, and now the one on the Americas is in print. And I think she would join me in saying that the law in Germany against discrimination for the rights of minority, equality, against using unwanted symbols, etc., is one of the best ones in Europe, if not the best. And the system of checks and balances that Germany has created is certainly the best. Despite that fact, there is anti-Semitism that comes from other sources. It's either the extreme right or Muslims, or there has been at least a year or two, where is Sarah? A year or two in which a Jewish cemetery was desecrated once a week. Once a week. That's quite a cowardly action to go at night to a cemetery and do this and that. And there were a few rabbis attacked this year. But indeed, we all hope that this checks and balances system and a new atmosphere in Germany that Chancellor Merkel is leading will really be of help. Now to our third speaker. Our third speaker is Walter Klitz. He is the head, he became the director of the Friedrich Nauann Foundation for Liberty in Israel and the Palestinian Authority in July 2012, which means that he is here barely half a year. Yeah. And he began his professional career in the German Air Force, where he served for 8 years, and then became assistant of the Deputy Minister of Defense. After studying law in Bonn, Germany, he was admitted to be a senior civil servant to the senior civil service, and became a central figure in the Democratic Party in the German Parliament, and held key position at a time when Germany prepared for unification. And this also is not a simple matter. He joined the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Liberty in 1994. He served in the Baltic states. He served in Washington, D.C. He fulfilled a long line of tasks and positions in the Friedrich Naumann Foundation. And not only abroad, you know, the Friedrich Naumann Foundation is so active worldwide. He was active not only abroad, but also in the headquarters of the Friedrich Naumann Foundation in Germany. We are very happy to acknowledge a long-lasting cooperation with the Naumann Foundation for many years, and to have you as a sponsor and a partner of this conference. Please.
So I'm too tall for this microphone, obviously. But I hope you understand me anyway. Thank you, Professor Dina Porat, Excellencies, Ambassador Michaelis, Mr. President Rein, esteemed speakers, ladies and gentlemen. I am very much honored to welcome you to this joint conference of the Tel Aviv University Kantor Center, the Moses Mendelssohn Zentrum, the Goldstein-Goren Diaspora Research Center, and the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Liberty. Let me express my gratitude to everybody who has contributed to make this important event possible. A warm welcome goes to all the respected speakers who came to Israel despite their tight schedules. Ladies and gentlemen, just a few days ago, the German-Israeli writer Inge Deutsch-Krohn reported in her, I think, very touchable and impressive speech to the German Bundestag on the occasion of the Day of Commemoration to honor the victims of the Holocaust, that she found herself speechless when she heard people in post-war Germany saying, "You should disremember." Whenever they were not able to silence her, they said, "You have to forgive eventually. It has been so long." Most people she met seemed to have simply removed the atrocity from their memory. The crimes for which the Hitler state had its own machinery, that's what she said, of murder, and most people did let it happen. She was, as she stated, obsessed with the idea that something comparable must never happen again. Human beings who dispute the right to live towards others, neither does it matter what skin color one has, nor what religion or political idea one belongs to, neither in Germany nor elsewhere. I quote, "And due to that objective, it is necessary to know the truth, the whole truth, for as long as the question riddles how these terrible things could happen, the danger is not over, and crime in a like manner could afflict humanity again." End of quote. Ladies and gentlemen, I could not agree more. Time has breached the wall of silence, so more important it is to be aware that also the risk might substantially have declined. It is still latently around. This seems to be common to all mankind. Too much are we trapped in daily routine, and nothing is more dangerous than taking freedom for granted. Freedom always has to come with responsibility, and I therefore think that we have made some progress, as the ambassador has mentioned, but I don't believe that the threat has been permanently contained. Ms. Deutschkron therefore is right to appeal in her both powerful and personal speech not to be tired and not to rest. All of us have the duty to keep the horror of the Holocaust in the public consciousness and to commemorate the victims. The Holocaust has always to be a reminder to humanity for the threat posed to hatred, bigotry, racism, and prejudice. This is the reason why events like this today are so important. It is our responsibility to confront the younger generation with this dark part of German history. We have to win them to stand up against all kinds of violence and oppose ethnic discrimination and prosecution of heretics. History has taught us, ladies and gentlemen, that without the pupil of the eye, light is missing, and without knowledge, wisdom is missing. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. It is now a pleasure, a special pleasure, to invite Lior Shani. Lior Shani is the head of the events department of the once Diaspora Museum and now Museum of the Jewish People. We've been working for at least some 30 years, I think, together on many events. Tadmor, Mr. Dan Tadmor, who has been elected chairperson of the House's committees just recently, could not make it for today, and Liora will replace him. Please, and thank you very much.
Good afternoon. His Excellency, the German Ambassador to Israel, Mr. Andreas Michaelis and Mrs. Heike Michaelis, Mr. Walter Klitz, Head of the Friedrich Nauann Foundation for Liberty Office in Israel, Professor Raanan Rein, Vice President of Tel Aviv University and member of the Beit Hatfutsot Board of Directors, Professor Dina Porat, Head of the Kantor Center for the Study of Contemporary European Jewry, Tel Aviv University, and Chief Historian of Yad Vashem. Professor Julius Sheps, Head of the Moses Mendelssohn Center in Potsdam, Dr. Simcha Goldin, Head of the Goren Goldstein Diaspora Research Center, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Beit Hatfutsot, the Museum of the Jewish People, for the conference From Rejection to Acceptance to be Jewish in the 21st Century Germany. Beit Hatfutsot tells the unique and ongoing story of the Jewish people throughout the ages and around the world, since antiquity and until today. In 2005, the Israeli Knesset passed the Beit Hatfutsot law, defining Beit Hatfutsot as the national center for Jewish communities in Israel and around the world. As such, this museum is the natural venue for this conference, which amongst other topics examine the achievements and challenges of the Jewish community in Germany today. Beit Hatfutsot has an enduring and close relationship with Germany and its Jewish community. The government of the Federal Republic of Germany was one of Beit Hatfutsot's first partners. 3 years ago, the government of Hessen chose to give a generous support to our database center, where museum visitors can research their heritage and family roots. Just recently, in 2011, Beit Hatfutsot hosted the exhibition Transcending Tradition, Jewish Mathematicians in German-Speaking Academic Culture. I would like to thank our partners who came together to produce this important conference, the Kantor Center and the Goldstein Goren Diaspora Research Center, both at Tel Aviv University. The Moses Mendelssohn Center of the University of Potsdam, Germany, and the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Liberty, Israel. Special thanks go to Dr. Chaim Feierberg and to Mrs. Ronit Winfield. It only remains for me to wish all the participants a successful, enriching, and enjoyable convention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liora. Thank you for hosting us. The musicians are on the way. In the meantime, until they reach us, I'd like also to acknowledge the presence of a former Israeli ambassador to Germany, His Excellency Yoram Ben Zeev. Thank you for coming. Okay. Now, בבקשה. The choice of the two musical interludes is a bit special because we thought, okay, what can we choose from the existing multitudes? And the choice was made by our son Guy Porat, who is a musician, and he chose 2 out of 3 songs without words, composed by Paul Ben Chaim. Why Paul? This will be the first piece. Why Paul Ben Chaim? Because that's a Jew who lived in Germany, came to Israel, and there are a few coincidences here, because the piano here was his piano, and he donated it to the Diaspora Museum. And we'll hear the music played on it in a minute. Then the second piece, the later one, is again 2 songs without words, yeah, Lieder ohne Wörter, 2 songs without words by Felix Mendelssohn. And Felix Mendelssohn, needless to say, was the grandson of Moses Mendelssohn, and the Moses Mendelssohn Center are our partners here, so it is all connected together. So I'd like to thank very much Raanan Mintzer and Yuval Chen, who would offer us this nice music. בבקשה. Thank you so much. They both come from a program for excellent young musicians in the Raanan Musical Center. And now it is my pleasure to ask to come to the podium and take the places Professor Wolfson and Professor Sheps and Ambassador Ben Zeev. Please.